Okay, so as I've been listening to the podcast by the Healthy Skeptic, I'm listening to Stefan G. Forgot his last name, from the Whole Healthy Food Source. I think the name of the website, or I don't know if it's a book or not. But he's talking about set point theory, fat loss, psychological effect of food, physiological effects of food, and kind of gets my brain thinking about the set point theory. Those that don't know what the set point theory is, set point is this theory that you kind of have a set point for your weight, and it can move depending on the time of the year or time in your life. So if you're normally 185 pounds and you get under 170 and you go below 185, let's say you get down to 160 or 175, your body will do everything in its power by increasing appetite, slowing metabolism to get you back up to 185, and vice versa. When you start to go up above 190, 195, or above 185 to some degree, automatically body starts to kick in and try to figure out a way to get your body to move back to its original weight. This is the general reason why it's not a good idea to lose weight really fast, because your set point doesn't get a chance to adjust or move. So that's the set point theory. And linking food reward, and obviously we all like good food, and sometimes what really makes dieting hard is we attach a lot of pleasure to food. From wine, alcohol, having fun. Alcohol doesn't always really taste that great. If you think about it, take a shot of tequila, it burns, but then there's a pleasure associated with it. The taste of vegetables, or the taste of cookies, creams, and candies. There's a certain kind of association that makes you crave and want to eat it and keep eating it. So what has the highest food reward typically? Not just sugar, obviously, carbohydrates and fat. So when I say carbohydrates, that also refers to sugar and any grains or any starch. So they have a high food reward. Like, I'll even use sweet potatoes. Because it's high in carbohydrates, it would be considered a food reward. So, anyways, with taking that consideration, if you combine fat with carbohydrates, you have a very strong food reward. And you just think about all the junk food that's manufactured: sodas, candies, Twinkies, Slurpees, donuts. They're really bad for you, but then they have a very high food reward. And there's a reason, and that they're made that way because they're made palatable. In this podcast that I'm going to share on my website, he talks about how food reward affects your body's brain. Because when there's a high food reward, say for example, you're eating carbohydrates, you're eating grains, you're having dairy, all the stuff that I recommend you don't have when you're trying to lose weight. You have a strong food reward mechanism. Now, if you reduce your calories, you can lose weight. So yes, it's possible to lose weight and not go on a paleo diet. But the problem is, the overconsumption that is very short-lived for most people, because it is very difficult to continue doing that because of the strong association of the food reward, of the pleasurable food. So when you go out to a party or you go out to dinner and they serve a cake or ice cream or something that tastes good, look, I always talk about this, my mouth is watering just talking about it. But you think about that for a second, it makes it difficult to control your appetite on a regular lifetime basis. And that's usually what I'm really talking about when it comes to results. I really don't talk about losing it in like a 6-7 week, 5-day period or whatever. It's really more about the long-term health results. So you think about the food reward system, if you're get a significant food reward from certain foods, chances are those are your danger foods. And the longer you stay away from your very pleasurable foods, the less likely you're going to need them. And occasionally it's okay to have a piece of candy. I had a client ask me, should she said she cheated a little bit, she had a little piece of candy or whatever, forgot what it was. I said, it's probably not that big of a deal, but the problem is it continuing to strengthen your appetite, making it difficult for the meal after, and then the day after, because it makes you want to crave it more. So even if you have a tiny piece of candy, it just puts a lot of stress on your psychological system of your mind and your brain, and it's hard. So it's just better off to stay away. But I'm just kind of thinking about how I'm going to write this into a video blog post. Just thinking about set point theory, kind of how it applies to practical applications, as far as what you can do to kind of avoid certain things. I just think that you need to stay away from all the junk, and then the less likely you're going to need it. There's a huge psychological connection to food, a very pleasurable psychological connection to food. So, you know, you like ice cream and chocolate, you can't live without it. Anyone that says that to me is obviously addicted to that food, and they need that food to survive. But if you are able to keep it quit for 30 days, chances are you're not going to need it very often. You know, so the whole idea is reducing the intensity of the pleasure from it. Because what happens when you don't have the bad food for a long time, and you eat it, and you've been eating fairly healthy, it doesn't really, the craving, it decreases significantly. It still tastes good, but you don't need it anymore. And those are one of the things I always like to talk about when it comes to you know, losing weight and cutting out all the bad foods. Another cool thing that I did learn that was interesting was about getting your kids to eat more vegetables. So the reason why I like about getting kids to eat more vegetables is because, you know, obviously I have a son and I'm trying to get him vegetables, and it's just a pain in the butt. So anyways, the one thing that I did that kind of helped, or what I got from it, was that, you know, attaching some kind of high calorie, high flavorful food to vegetables. And it sounds so intuitive and so obvious, but I just haven't been doing it, you know, because I eat most of my vegetables plain most of the time, just because I'm primarily lazy. So, because I don't want to prepare it too much. So putting butter on spinach, for instance, or using butter for a lot of different things. So that is what I'm going to do.